Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of Daily Stock, we are going to look at the quarterly earnings for the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2023 for the Adobe Systems, which has delivered phenomenal results. It has delivered record-breaking profit for the company with its revenues for the quarter as well as for the year, touching the highs it has been able to achieve during its lifetime. And as was the market expectations, the revenues have been above $5 billion for this quarter as well. And the whole year revenues are not very far off from the mark of $20 billion. But if you look at the stock price reaction, you will feel that maybe the company has not really delivered this kind of stellar results, and the sense you get is of disappointment. But I don't really think that is the correct way to look at it, because if we look at the year to run or even the whole year run which we have seen in the stock price of the Adobe systems, it has rallied upward of 80 percentage point, and from those 80 percentage point, if there is decline of 5 or for that matter even 10 percentage point, I would consider it as a sort of correction, some moderation, not a reversal. So even this dip which we are experiencing in today's session is going to be a new opportunity which we can exploit once things stabilize, once we have more clarity after due consolidation. As and when the things start to look up, the price momentum starts to look bullish again, we can indeed go for fresh opportunities to trade and invest in the Adobe stock, because the fundamentals are looking solid, and this revenue growth we are likely to witness going ahead as well. Of course, some moderation in the pace of growth can't be ruled out, but overall, the picture remains solid, and in that case, the buy on dips can be an appropriate strategy to apply. Now, let us look at the highlights of these quarter's earnings for the Adobe. The Adobe has delivered record revenue of $19.4 billion for the fiscal year 2023, which is 17% growth for year on year, and this EPS growth has been achieved because the operating margin has been nearly or even upward of 30%. So this is an company which enjoys substantial profit margin, as this is a product developer which has lead in various categories in which its products are sought after. So that gives it buffer to have this higher margin and go for higher net income. The highlights have been listed here. You can access this page of the Adobe Systems Investor Relations, and in it you will have all these highlights which you can go through. The key takeaway is that the company's earnings are likely to remain in the ballpark of $5 billion in the coming quarters as well. And one thing which has contributed to the decline in the price of the shares of Adobe Systems, I feel, is also because it hasn't really provided the strong growth forecast. Indeed, it is expecting growth, but not too high from the current levels, and that is causing some moderation, some correction in its share price in today's session. But if things continue to be positive, if its initiatives in the AIs start to deliver, I feel that in course of time it is going to reap handsome rewards for its products which have been developed using the AI and generative AI capabilities. And in coming years, we can even see manifold rise in the revenues for the company if its initiatives pay off. So even though the first quarter, or for that matter even second quarter, revenue guidance is not that high from the ongoing quarter, but still growth is growth, and this strong growth is happening on a solid base. And I think on that count we should keep an eye on the share price of the Adobe systems unless there any significant correction in its share price in coming days. I feel the price range of around 550 or thereabout is going to be a good price range to keep an eye on, and eventually you can indeed go for a long buy trade. The segmental results have also been provided. These are the key highlights where the company has been able to generate more than 7 billion US dollars in free cash flows from the operations. Also, some of the regulator scrutiny has resulted in the slower processing of its acquisition of Figma. But apart from that, the things are looking up and bullish for the stock. This is the revenue guidance for the next financial year, that is 2024, where it is expecting the total revenues to be above US $20 billion. And if that comes to pass, we will have these this year's revenues being bested by the next year's revenues, and that will be the highest ever revenue as and when it is delivered. Let us look at the consolidated statement of income. With these subscription, product and services and other, it has accumulated more than 5 billion US dollars. And after deducting for the cost of revenues, we have the gross profit of 4.4 billion US dollars. But then we do have to deduct other expenses, and that brings the net income lower, with the net income being at US dollar $1.483 billion, which is almost 30%. If we compare it to how things were a year back, there is this substantial net income growth in these year on year figures, and the EPS is also almost 20 percentage point higher. Same applies for the net income as well. And on the revenue front, the growth is there, with this growth being almost 20 percentage point. Sorry, not 20%. I think around 12 to 13%. And the year on year figures are also around 10 percentage point higher. So the company has been able to deliver these quite good numbers on back of its initiatives to invest in AIs. And as I said earlier, in course of time, we can expect these generative AI capabilities of the Adobe to pay off handsomely. The cash flows have been positive for the company, with it being able to build its cash reserves of more than US $7 billion. Now we head to the JForex 4, the trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. For last many weeks, it has been consolidating with bullish bias, and if you look at this charting of the Adobe system from the start of second half of this year, you can see that the trajectory has been bullish. It has been continuously trading with this trajectory of making higher highs and higher lows. So if you had gone for the buy trade anywhere close to 500 for last couple of months, you would have made money multiple times in in the span of around 6 months. And after this breach of this resistance zone, it has rallied another 10 percentage point higher. Now, after this high of 633.99 being touched, we have seen this sharp correction, but I think this is likely to be short lived, and for that, the key level to watch out for is going to be around 540, 530. If things stabilize and if there is not much of a decline in the share price of the Adobe systems in the next couple of days, we will have this stock quite well positioned for resuming the rally higher. So that is what we are waiting for. Right now, the things are looking bearish, but from the medium term perspective, it is still remains a stock to keep an eye on if you want to go long, if you want to invest. And for that, we will have to be very patient and wait it out for a couple of months. For the short term, the momentum seems to be changing. So watch out for the stock's price moves for next couple of days. And if we have it trading lower or close to 600, then after having seen the momentum remains bearish, we can even start to initiate the short sell trade. Anywhere close to 600 is going to be a good starting point for us to expect the Adobe to decline further, maybe towards 550 or thereabout, or in course of time even towards 500. So from the short-term perspective, it is clearly in a bearish zone, but we also need to make sure that the risk-reward ratio is favorable, and to ensure that we will have to be cautious here and not initiate the trade straight away, but wait it out, see how things unfold, and after this volatility subsides, I feel we will indeed have a good chance to profit in coming days. Now, we also have to consider how things are shaping up on the longer time horizon. For that, we are going to look at the weekly charting, and in the weekly charting, the share price of the Adobe has almost doubled from around the levels of 275 to now trading close to 600 levels, and this has all happened in a span of a year. As things stabilized and started to rise higher, we have this formation of higher highs and higher lows. But here also, looking at the significant rally it has already seen, I think even though the current momentum is bullish from the short term perspective, we should still be cautious and pay attention to how things unfold as and when the Adobe systems shares approach 500 level. That is going to be a crucial marker from the short term perspective, and if there is further dip, then it will signal the change of momentum, and we will have to change our outlook and start looking for the opportunities to go short in the Adobe stock. So that's my outlook looking at the current price formation of the Adobe stock and also its quarterly earnings, which were released just 2 days back. With these higher revenues, I think the company is going to be quite motivated to keep up the good work and enhance and release the updates for its various products. Now it's time for me to stop these updates and take my leave. So I will be signing off for the day. If you have any query or any idea to share, do write to me in the feedback and I will be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous day ahead. See you next time around.